Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Happier Hour. Today we have with us Dr. Aditi Acharya Lokhande.
Hello, Seema. Thank
Hello.
you so much.
She has done her MBBS in 2009 from Terna Medical College, Navi Mumbai, and she has done her MD in Psychiatry from BJMC Ahmedabad in 2013. She is pursuing her private practice since 2013. Her clinic, Mana Chaitanya, is based in Chembur, Mumbai, and very soon she'll be starting her rehab center in Khalapur, which is on Mumbai-Pune highway. She has also appeared in several Marathi TV channels like Me Marathi, IBN Lokmat, TV9, Max Maharashtra, and My Mahanagar. Today we are going to discuss about alcoholism, and we have with us Dr. Aditi. Welcome to the show, Dr. Aditi.
Thank you so much, Seema. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. So, Dr. Aditi, what exactly is alcoholism, and at what level of alcohol intake do we say, okay, this is alcohol misuse?
Yes, a very good question indeed. The first thing I would like to like everybody to know is that there's a difference between just alcohol use and alcohol use disorder. So most of the people have tried alcohol at some point of time in their lives. That does not mean they have an alcohol use problem. Okay. So alcohol, if it is causing disturbances in your daily lives, if it is causing you to lose your senses, blackouts, okay, and after taking alcohol, if your behavior is changing, you're getting irritable, you're abusing people, then it is definitely a problem. And now about the alcohol level in the blood. See, for every individual, the level of alcohol use could be different. Like for example, who are the people who are taking alcohol on a daily basis, they develop the phenomenon called tolerance. So if one peg of whiskey is giving them kick today, they are feeling good after having one peg of whiskey. After a few days, one peg of whiskey will no more give them that pleasure. They'll have to step up the dose. So if a new person who is not exposed to alcohol before, or who is taking it very occasionally, takes alcohol, then it can affect his behavior even with one peg. But for a person who has got used to alcohol, who has developed tolerance, 2-3 pegs might be required to cause the same behavioral issues. So that's why I say that alcohol levels, or the term misuse or alcohol abuse, we use it more in terms of how it is affecting a person's behavior and his life.
So it's not really dependent on amount of alcohol someone is taking, but the impact that it is having on them.
Yes, and amount of alcohol, of course, if it is in extreme excess, then it is a problem.
Okay. And alcohol लेने से body पे और हमारे brain पे क्या असर पड़ता है exactly?
So what happens exactly is when you take alcohol, physically it affects a lot of organs. All of us know about it, correct? Liver is the first thing everybody knows about alcohol. It affects the liver, correct? Generally hazardous use के बारे में जब हम बोलते हैं alcohol के, तो if a person is consuming more than 7 standard drinks, a female, for females 7 standard drinks in a week. And for males, it is more than 14 standard drinks in a week, then it is definitely hazardous. It is going to harm a person physically, like liver and all those things, and even emotionally. Correct? So that is one thing. Secondly, what happens is your liver gets affected, and all kinds of carcinomas in the body. The association is not very clear, but everywhere alcohol is implicated. If a person is having alcohol, tobacco use, then chances of getting cancer are more that way. So all kinds of problems in the body, kidneys get affected, your heart gets affected. So all the organs get affected. That is one thing. Second thing is in the brain also. What happens is initially when a person is consuming it triggers the release of dopamine in the reward center. So when dopamine is triggered in the reward center, you feel a sense of the kick that we call, you know, so you get pleasurable sensation. That's why a person keeps on doing it again and again and again. But what happens is over a period of time, as a person keeps on drinking, like daily हो जाता है जब, तो there are neurotransmitters in the brain. It is called as GABA.
Okay.
GABA aminobutyric acid. It is basically an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So it inhibits, it depresses the brain function. It is usually kept in check by other neurotransmitters. But with chronic alcohol use, what happens is this GABA levels go up.
Okay.
And when that happens, your entire central nervous system is depressed. So overall, even if you feel that alcohol gives me pleasure for the time being, I feel relaxed, I feel happy, I feel a sense of calmness. In the long run, when you keep on consuming alcohol on a daily basis, it is basically depressogenic. So it will cause all kinds of problems. It will cause anxiety, it will cause depression, it can cause psychosis. So a person can have hallucinations and delusions. Alcohol induced psychosis, we call it. So these are the different things that can happen with alcohol use, physically as well as emotionally, mentally.
And you know, if someone is misusing alcohol, तो usually उनके लाइफ के कौन से पार्ट्स इम्पैक्ट होते हैं?
Again, this is a very important question. See, alcohol misuse definition में हम बोलते हैं कि if it is affecting you, your interpersonal relations, that is first thing. Most of the times what happens is your relationship with your spouse is affected a lot. Because आप सोचिए कि आपका हस्बैंड अगर अल्कोहल लेके आता है, तो आप उसके बाद उससे कितना बात करोगे? हाउ विल बी योर इंटीमेसी? इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू फील सेटिस्फाइड, और यू वोंट इवन हैव द डिजायर टू गो क्लोज टू अ पर्सन. सो योर रिलेशनशिप विद द स्पाउस गेट्स अफेक्टेड, एंड बिकॉज दैट इज अफेक्टेड, अगेन वो रिलेशनशिप में भी समटाइम्स सस्पिशियसनेस कम्स इन कि you know, my wife is not paying attention to me, probably she's having some kind of affair outside. So these are the consequences that happen. Sometimes a person becomes extremely abusive after consuming alcohol, and he can end up beating his wife, abusing his wife, giving bad words. So once that starts happening, then it's kind of an irreparable loss in the relationship. Correct? That is one thing. Second thing, even your relationship with your family members gets affected. Your children are watching you. Correct? You're kind of normalizing alcohol use in the family if they're watching you all the time having alcohol. Then even your relationship with your brothers, sisters get affected. You lose the credibility, you know, because they feel, अरे कब अल्कोहल दारू पी के आएगा पता नहीं, कैसे इस पे कैसे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कैसे डाल सकते हैं. करेक्ट. सो लॉस ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दिस इज वन एस्पेक्ट. Second aspect is when it comes to your profession, your occupation. So if there is chronic alcohol use, if a person becomes dependent on alcohol, it results in absenteeism. नहीं आज नहीं जाता हूँ, आज मूड नहीं है, दिन भर, you know, he'll keep on consuming alcohol. Even if he goes there to work, specific time जब होता है 6 बज जाते हैं, 6:30 बज जाते हैं, तो craving start होता है, तो जाना है 8 बजे, लेकिन 6 बजे से ये सब काम वाम से ध्यान हट जाता है. And a person is constantly preoccupied with the thought of procuring alcohol. So his entire life revolves around getting alcohol. क्या झूठ बोल के मैं घर से निकलूं, क्या झूठ बोल के मैं ऑफिस से निकलूं, कब मैं जाऊंगा, कहाँ से लाऊंगा, how will I fetch the money. So again what happens is it results in antisocial behaviors like पैसा खत्म हो गया तो they'll steal money from home, they'll blackmail their wife into giving money for consuming alcohol. Sometimes they can steal money from the offices also. So antisocial behavior increases. Also these people have a lot of impulsivity. So impulse control issues भी आ जाते हैं once you are chronically having alcohol problem. Already impulse control का problem होता है, इसलिए alcohol use ज़्यादा होता है. And once you start taking alcohol, alcohol affects the circuits in such a way कि impulse control और भी problematic हो जाता है. So it's two-way traffic kind of. So without thinking much of the consequences, a person would resort to all kinds of behaviors. That is the thing. So alcohol use problem is such that it affects all the aspects of life, I would say.
And I mean, does it impact person's mental health as well?
Yes, definitely it impacts a person's mental health. This is something most of the people don't discuss about. You know, physical problems होते हैं, ये सबको पता होता है. But how it affects a person's mental health, nobody knows. So what happens is, as I told you, it affects specific neuronal circuits in the brain. And once that happens, anxiety है, panic. It is a known panicogen, by the way.
Achha.
So when a person keeps consuming alcohol, a person can start getting panic attacks.
Okay.
Panic attacks are, they are so scary for the person experiencing it, that a person feels palpitations, then fear of impending doom, कि अभी कुछ मेरा हो ही जाएगा, मुझे heart attack ही आने वाला है, to that extreme. And they go in emergency to the hospitals, and ECG लेते हैं, सब टेस्ट करते हैं, सब नॉर्मल आते हैं. But alcohol is the problem which is causing these panic attacks. So panic attacks है जिसकी वजह से a person can land up in panic disorder. Other anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety disorder है, फिर major depressive disorder, because it enhances the release of GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid. So it causes depression. So once a person lands up in depression, then he loses interest in surroundings, and even it can reach to the extreme of suicide.
Okay.
So alcohol problem coupled with major depression, there are very high chances of a person landing up in suicide ultimately. Another problem is psychosis. Now psychosis is not as common as anxiety and depression, but it is definitely a known occurrence with alcohol use. So a person can experience delusions, he can feel fearful, suspicious about other people, that other people are talking about me, other people are they are hatching a conspiracy against me, they are keeping an eye on me, and all kinds of florid delusions can develop. Sometimes hallucinations can start, like people hear voices when they are not actually there. They hear voices of people talking amongst themselves, abusing him or talking about him, commanding him sometimes. So all these are symptoms of psychosis, delusions, hallucinations, abnormal behavior. And that can also, it is known as alcohol-induced psychosis. So alcohol can also lead to this extreme of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that at least I was not aware about, that it can lead to psychosis as well, because usually we just talk about how relationships are impacted because of alcoholism, how all the relationship, like you mentioned, about the husband wife, about the children, extended family, financial issues that happen. But yeah, I mean, it can go to level of psychosis that is like really something I never heard about, and I'm actually surprised and shocked to know about it.
Yes, indeed. Most of the people don't know about all these aspects of alcohol use.
Yeah. And when a person does alcohol misuse, how exactly does it look in him or her? I mean, their behavior, how exactly does it look like?
Yes, so there are two types of alcohol abusers, I would say. One is the alcohol abuse, that a person might not drink alcohol on a daily basis. But when he consumes it, like say for example, he consumes it just once a week, but at that point of time he consumes it in such an amount, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, that it affects his senses. He experiences blackout, he experiences all kinds of interpersonal problems, his coordination is gone. If that is the case, then it is definitely alcohol use disorder which needs attention and it needs to be treated. If a person is going to that extent, then abstinence is the best solution for him. Proper therapy, medication and abstinence is the best solution for him. There are other category of people who are actually alcohol dependent. So they require alcohol because if they don't have alcohol, they will have withdrawal symptoms. So they keep on drinking on a daily basis. They may not exceed the amount, or sometimes dependents can also have alcohol misuse problem, abuse problem. कि एक दिन बहुत ज़्यादा पी लिया, but usually 2-3 quarters में रोज वो पीते हैं. That way. So both these kind of people, they require different interventions. We require a proper detailed history as to what are the factors that are contributing to the alcohol use. What are the stressors in their lives. And every patient is different, you know. Every patient has a unique tale to tell. And solutions also vary. Everything varies according to every individual.
And you know, you mentioned about every person, they have a different reason. So what are the most common reasons why, you know, someone might become alcoholic?
Very good question. The first and the most important thing in alcohol addiction is the genetic predisposition. It is, I would say it is the most important factor. So if there is a family history of alcoholism, like alcoholism in father, grandfather, even maternal uncles, paternal uncles, whoever, then there's a very high chance that if a person starts having alcohol, he would become addicted to it. So this genetic predisposition is very important. There's something called as addiction potential. So addiction potential for people who have family history of alcohol is very high. So if we have a patient who is alcoholic, we always counsel his wife that, you know, if you have kids, then please see to it that they don't touch alcohol at all. Because if they do, then there are very high chances कि एक बार चालू हुआ तो 2-4 महीने में they might get addicted to alcohol. Which is not the case with everybody. See, all of us see there are a lot of social drinkers, correct? तो once a month लिया, 2 months में parties में लिया, social occasions में कभी कभी लिया. They would have one drink, and they would continue with that one drink, say for hours together. They would munch in between. And so such kind of use is not problematic. But if alcohol is causing problems, if it is landing you in trouble, then definitely it is problematic alcohol use, and abstinence is the best way to, you know, overcome it.
And you know, you talked about genetic disposition in terms of कई लोगों के genes में ही है कि they might get addicted to alcohol. But why is that? I mean, is it like क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने you know family में देखा है alcohol पीते हुए, that's why they can get influenced easily and go into it, or it's actually in their genes?
So it's actually genetic predisposition. By looking at your father drinking, that the learned behavior, that is a different thing altogether.
Okay.
Of course, that is also there, but this is there in the genes. Just like a person gets different qualities from his mother and father. He looks like his mother, he looks like his father. Similarly, all these things, they are genetic. So even the potential for addiction is also something that is genetic. So that's why we find many a times few people would get addicted once they start consuming. The interval between the first drink and the actual addiction, it will be quite short for few people. And when you look at, when you talk to people, you realize there's a history of family history of addiction. Okay. So if anybody in your family has it, close family members, then even if you stay away from them, you have never seen them, still once you start having alcohol, the potential to develop addiction is very high. So that's why we keep telling the family members, the kids of alcoholics, that it is very, very necessary that you stay away from alcohol. Because once you taste it, the chances that you might slip into alcohol dependence are quite high. And one needs to be aware of it to prevent it.
Correct. And are there any testing for it in terms of, getting to know whether, it's in my genes or not?
Not really. Right now, such tests have not been developed, at least in India. But might be in near future sometime. There would be certain tests where we can test it. But there are a lot of studies which have indicated that there is definite genetic predisposition to develop alcohol use. And there are, so one thing we discussed about this genetic predisposition, but there are different other causes why alcohol addiction develops in people. So most of the times in women, in females, what happens is that there are emotional issues sometimes. So there could be depression and anxiety, and many a times women tend to use alcohol as a self-medication to feel better for the time being, and they don't realize when they get addicted to it. That is one thing. The third important reason is the kind of peer group one has. So sometimes if a person it starts casually, sometimes just with your friends, you taste it. Then if there are friends who are taking it on a daily basis, then you also start hanging out with them, and then you don't want to feel different or being secluded in the group. So that's why you start consuming it, and then gradually alcohol dependence develops. So there are different reasons for it. Many times even in males you can find stressors होते बहुत सारे, लॉस ऑफ स्पाउस है या फिनेंशियल लॉस है, डिप्रेशन है, जिसकी वजह से अल्कोहल यूज कैन स्टार्ट. So there are different reasons why a person consumes alcohol, but we always tell कि there are healthier ways of getting out of your stress. So why resort to this unhealthy means? Many a times in teenagers, especially who have social anxiety, sometimes they consume alcohol to feel slightly disinhibited, so that they are able to communicate better, and that can also result in alcohol dependence in the long run.
Interesting. So I mean, when these patients, they come to you, so I mean, first of all, when they come to you, what do they come for typically, and then what is your course of action on such patients?
Yes. So most of the times, patients, if they come on their own, we feel there is a lot of scope for improvement, because the locus of control is then internal, that I want to stop alcohol for these reasons, because it is affecting my health, it is affecting my job, it is affecting my career prospects, my child is growing and he's watching me do this. So if the locus of control is internal, then the chances of a person quitting are more. बट कोई पकड़ के लाया है, घर वाले पकड़ के लाए हैं कि नहीं ये तो बहुत दारू पी रहा है, सुन नहीं रहा है, तो आप देख लो उसको. तो देन द लोकस ऑफ कंट्रोल इज एक्सटर्नल, बिकॉज ये बोल रहे हैं तो मुझे छोड़नी है. देन द चांसेस ऑफ रिलैप्स आर अगेन हायर. सो व्हेन अ पर्सन कम्स टू अस, what is most important is a detailed history taking session, in which we try to understand since when has the alcohol use begun, what is the time period in which a person has developed addiction, so that we know about the addiction potential also. Have there been times when a person has tried to cut down on alcohol, has tried to quit alcohol, and if he was able to quit, what was the maximum period of abstinence? So say अगर ऐसा है कि maximum period of abstinence 1-1.5 साल है, then we know कि yeah, this is a potential, this has got good potential, he might quit alcohol, and he would be able to stay abstinent for a longer period of time. And अगर कोई बोलता नहीं 8-10 दिन से ज़्यादा नहीं छोड़ पाया कभी, तो then we have to handle such case in a different way. Then what are the triggers for a person? Okay, so if a person is consuming alcohol on daily basis, what is it that he is not able to control? Sometimes it's the physical dependence, sometimes it's the psychological dependence. So as I told you earlier, there are withdrawal symptoms. If a person is consuming alcohol on daily basis and he doesn't get alcohol say for one day, few people will have physical withdrawal symptoms. So these withdrawal symptoms would be tremors, feeling of restlessness, agitation, vomiting, sometimes hallucinations, and even withdrawal seizures. So fits, as we call it in common man's language. So these are all the withdrawal symptoms that one can have if a person is not consuming alcohol. But few people will also not have these. Even if they don't, they are taking on a daily basis, they won't have this physical withdrawal. But they would have psychological dependence on alcohol. So that manifests in the form of craving.
Okay.
So वो टाइम पे उनको क्रेविंग चालू होती है कि मैं कब लूँगा. So one needs to understand when a particular patient comes to you कि exactly इस patient में क्या है. And interventions also need to be customized accordingly. For every patient it is going to be different. For every patient you also need to analyze how is his support. So how is his family support? How is his spouse? How is his spouse supposed to communicate with him? So all these things are very important in maintaining a person off alcohol. Another thing is when I told you about locus of control, motivation is something that is also very important. So basically assessing the motivation of a person to change. How much a person is really motivated, or it's just the external factors that are causing him to quit alcohol. So based on all these things, we tend to make an action plan. The first step is going to be detoxification.
Okay.
So a person has consumed alcohol, say he has quit 24 hours before. So now he is going to get withdrawal symptoms. So in order to manage those withdrawal symptoms, we need to give medications. So those are in the form of benzodiazepines that we commonly give. Benzodiazepines, once we start giving them, what happens is that the physical symptoms of withdrawal are managed very well with it. So the restlessness, agitation, sleep disturbance, all these things will be under control. And once these symptoms are under control, then we gradually taper the medications over a period of next 7 to 10 days. This process we call it as detoxification. Along with detoxification, another important thing that needs to be done is giving injectable thiamine doses.
Okay.
To prevent other complications of alcohol use, because thiamine is depleted in alcohol use. Thiamine is a B complex vitamin and that needs to be given. So this first process is relatively simpler because a person is under your watch. Correct. Many a times a person needs to be admitted in a facility. If at home, then the relatives need to keep a close watch on such a person. He should not be able to go out. Otherwise, craving हुआ, चला गया, ले लिया alcohol. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. So that's why it's important to keep a close watch. But when a person is under your supervision, it's easier to manage. Okay. So after this detoxification process, the next step is addressing his craving, the psychological dependence. So there are anti-craving agents available, and there is something called as aversive therapy also.
Okay.
So in aversive therapy, basically there is a compound called disulfiram, which inhibits alcohol metabolism, and the toxic metabolites that are produced in the body, they give such a severe reaction कि उसके बाद अल्कोहल छूने को भी डर लगता है.
But are they like physical reactions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Physical reaction, and it can sometimes have fatal consequences also. So when we start disulfiram therapy for a patient, we always tell about all these things in advance. What are the things he is supposed to eat, he's not supposed to eat, and all those things. Proper counseling needs to be done, consent needs to be taken, and then we can give disulfiram. This is aversive conditioning. इतने severe side effects या unpleasant experience होने के बाद the craving for alcohol definitely goes down. Another molecules that we use, other molecules are naltrexone, acamprosate, which act on opioid receptors. So what happens is the dopamine kick that happens in reward pathway that is blocked. So the experience of consuming alcohol is no more pleasurable to that extent, and that's why gradually the quantity of alcohol goes down. So these are the different anti-craving agents that one can use. Then there are agents which can reduce impulsivity, because impulsivity is also a very important component in alcohol use. So there are agents like oxcarbazepine which can be used to control the impulse. Correct? This is about the medication part. Then there is therapy. So in therapy, again there are different ways in which you need to address these patients based on what is their problem. So if they have a lot of emotional disturbance, we have to do something so that their emotions get regulated. Emotion regulation becomes an important aspect. Then there would be a class of people in which assertiveness is a problem. So they quit alcohol, but they are in corporate setting. They are unable to say no when it comes to taking a glass of alcohol. How can I say no to my boss? How can I say no to my peers? How can I say no to my clients, for example? So this lack of assertiveness also can be problematic sometimes. So that also needs to be addressed, and assertiveness training needs to be given for such patients. Then there are certain mindfulness techniques that can be used to cut down on alcohol. So these are different ways in which motivational interviewing is another way of enhancing the motivation. So motivation, typically it's covered in 5 stages. Pre-contemplation. So pre-contemplation में अगर person है, मतलब he is not even thinking of quitting alcohol. वो ऐसे ही आया है, मतलब he has no intention to quit. मम्मी पापा ने लाके बिठाया है, वाइफ ने लाके बिठाया है, kind of. So उसके लिए मोटिवेशनल इंटरव्यूइंग के लिए अलग से you have to think in different ways to enhance his motivation. Correct? This is in the second stage, a person is in the contemplation stage. So he is thinking about it, but he has not given a serious thought to it. हो सकता है, कर सकता हूँ types. Then the third stage is going to be preparation. Now he has thought I have to quit alcohol. But then what are the things I need to do about it? How will I do it? I might inquire about it. I might like to know more about it in that phase. Then the fourth stage is the actions stage, wherein a person actively quits alcohol fully. Correct? And he wants to do it and he tries to do it. And then fifth stage is going to be maintenance, wherein we have to prevent relapses from happening. So we need to know where the person is exactly right now, and accordingly we need to talk to the patient in therapy.
When you talked about medicines that are required, so are these addictive?
So see, once we want to get rid of addiction, as I told you, in the detoxification, the medicines that we use, the benzodiazepines, they can be addictive if not given under medical supervision. So see, just because we want to make the person stop alcohol, we give it as a replacement for a temporary basis. So once the withdrawal symptoms are under control, we taper it off very fast.
Okay.
So that's why, as far as possible, we try to limit the use of substances which can be addictive, because as such addiction potential is going to be very high in such patients. So taper it and stop it, and then replace it with something which will not be addictive, and give anti-craving agents, as I discussed previously. So definitely addiction potential is there. There are a lot of people abusing benzodiazepines also. Benzodiazepines dependence is something we see on a regular basis. But that's why government has taken out such strong regulations. You do not get benzodiazepines easily on a shop these days. You do not get it without a proper prescription, and that too only for the stipulated amount of time. That is, if I have written 30 days on a prescription, you won't get one strip extra. So those are the kind of regulations that the government is trying to put in. So that's why the chances of getting addicted to benzodiazepines, if used under medical supervision, are not very high.
And within therapy you mentioned about assertive training. So what exactly do you do in that?
So basically, assertiveness is about telling your needs to a person without hurting his feelings. So what is your need? What is it that you require, but without hurting anybody else? How do you say it? Most of the people are not aware about how to say about your feelings, for example, without hurting anyone else's feelings. So that is what we teach in assertiveness. So it's a process. It's not something that can be learned in a day. It is a process. It will require role playing. It will require talking to the counselor. Correct? He'll tell you ways how to do it. Then you have to implement it. You have to work diligently. You have to do your homework well. And then over a period of few weeks, months, it develops. So there's something called as group therapy also. Group therapy works very well for people with alcohol addiction. Because in group therapy, what we do is we try to include all these different kinds of therapies together. Like assertiveness, like mindfulness, motivation enhancement. There people can do role plays. So sometimes, if there's a party, then what kind of dialogues people generally have, we ask them to enact that. Then how can a person say no? He has to think about it and try to do that. And once a person keeps on doing it again and again, it becomes a habit. And then it becomes easier for the person to implement it in the different settings.
Makes sense. And I mean, this is something that they can practice at home as well, right?
Yes.
With someone.
Yes, for sure.
Interesting. And I mean, if I have someone in my family or friends who's doing alcohol misuse, what can be my course of action?
First important step is going to be identification. So when we call it alcohol misuse? If a person, as we discussed, if it is affecting a person's behavior, it is an excessive amount clearly. It is affecting his daily life, it is affecting his relations, it is affecting his health. Then definitely encouraging a person to seek help. Another important thing is do not stigmatize this person. What happens is कि नहीं ये तो दारू छोड़ने वाला ही नहीं है कभी, ये ऐसा ही है, ये जानबूझ के पीता है. It's something we commonly hear, isn't it? नहीं, इसको छोड़ना ही नहीं है. But recognizing that alcohol use disorder is also mental health disorder. उसके हाथ में सब कुछ नहीं है. Craving होता है. It becomes out of control for him. So he is not doing it जानबूझ के. Definitely not. There are certain mechanisms which are beyond his control. It is a mental health issue which requires attention, which requires help. And that's why we need to encourage such people to seek help without blaming them. Instead of saying, "Arey, tum aisa karte ho, tum waisa karte ho," if you get into a problem solving mode, okay, this is a problem we are facing, we can face it together. I'll take you to a doctor. We'll talk to a doctor. We'll talk to a therapist and see what can be done about this problem. How it is affecting you, how it is affecting your health, your life in general, is something they can talk about, and then encourage such person to seek help.
True. And generally alcoholism, is it like it is seen in particular age group or particular gender or socio-economic background? So is it linked to certain factors?
As such, alcohol use disorder is found in all kinds of groups. Lower socioeconomic status also, there's a lot of alcohol use problem. All of us are aware about that. But alcohol use problems are also prevalent in the higher socioeconomic status. May not be to that extent, but definitely they are there. They are prevalent. It's like pervasive. It's there in all kinds of age groups. Mostly the middle-aged category is the most affected by alcohol use disorders. And nowadays even teenagers, young adolescents, they are also kind of resorting to alcohol use because there's a lot of social media use, the normalizing of alcohol use basically. There's a lot of peer pressure. And अपना favorite hero है वो दारू पी रहा है. So looking at that they feel it's cool to have alcohol. So this is one factor due to which alcohol use starts in very younger ages. So it affects all kinds of, and with respect to gender also, of course males, in males the alcohol use is quite high to the extent of 25 to 28%. That's a recent study conducted by the Department of Social Justice, Government of India. So, and in females it is roughly around 1 to 2%. But the problem exists in both the genders. The extent might vary, but once it is a problem, it needs to be addressed. It is not something that will just go away.
Yeah, and you mentioned about normalizing the alcohol use because nowadays it's very common, right? That as soon as you turn certain age, you start drinking alcohol. Even before that, you do start drinking alcohol. It's considered to be cool. Even in social gatherings with adolescents as well, they have alcohol. So do you see a lot of cases increasing for alcoholism?
Definitely. Rather cases increasing, that is one thing. But what I feel is nowadays the awareness that it is a problem is also increasing, and that is really heartening. People are realizing that there is a problem and we need to seek help. So that is another factor that is also important. And as mental health professionals, what we try to tell people by running awareness campaigns is that alcohol abstinence is the best way to go ahead for everyone. It's a neurotoxin. So even if consumed in less quantities, it carries lesser risk, but risk does not become zero. So why have alcohol? So this alcohol being cool or substance use being cool, that needs to wiped out big time. And everybody, social media influencers hai, important influential people hai, all of them have to come together and try to just wipe out this belief that alcohol use is cool. No amount of alcohol use, consumption of alcohol is not cool. It's not cool, not at all rather. And we have to find out healthier ways of seeking enjoyment. So enjoyment could be just going out with your friends for a movie. It could be something going out on a trek, an overnight trek, enjoying with your friends like that. But it does not necessarily need to be alcohol use all the time.
Interesting. And we've been, when you were talking about therapy, we talked about withdrawal symptoms like relapse. So how does withdrawal symptom look like and how can they be managed?
So about withdrawal, what happens is a person is consuming alcohol on a daily basis and somehow he is unable to procure it for some reason for 2-3 days say. So because of not consuming alcohol, he gets certain physical symptoms that we call as the alcohol withdrawal symptoms. These are the physical symptoms that one gets. So it could be in the form of tremors, restlessness, agitation, palpitations, then sometimes hallucinations, tactile hallucinations, visual hallucinations, then sleep disturbances, नींद ही नहीं आती बिल्कुल. And in extreme cases it can also go up till withdrawal seizures. So convulsions आते हैं. And these are all kinds of symptoms that one gets in alcohol withdrawal. This is about the physical symptoms. Then there's also psychological dependence, as I talked about. So in the form of craving. So typically a person having alcohol withdrawal would come to you in ekdam extreme restlessness, sometimes even delirium. Delirium meaning he is not oriented. कहाँ है, किधर है, कौन है, relatives को भी नहीं पहचान रहा है. He is seeing certain things. So all these are the symptoms. And such जब withdrawal में, acute withdrawal में patient आता है तो indoor करके, admit करके, then going ahead with detoxification is what requires to be done.
Okay. And usually what's the process around it? I mean, if a person is coming for withdrawal with withdrawal symptoms, so what is your protocol? What protocols do you follow after that?
Yes, so once a person is admitted under care, the first thing we do is detoxification. So detoxification में basically what we give is replacement therapy. So when a person is not consuming alcohol, we need to supplement or replace it with something so that the withdrawal symptoms are taken care of. So we generally give long-acting benzodiazepines in the form of lorazepam or chlordiazepoxide. So chlordiazepoxide is more preferred. Lorazepam is थोड़ा short-acting, but we give it so that जो भी withdrawal symptoms हैं, those are taken care of. And then gradually, as the person improves, we taper it over a period of 8 to 10 days and then stop it.
Okay. So it's exactly the same process that you have for, if a person is coming with the problem that I have alcoholism, or, that their relatives are bringing in, or they are coming with withdrawal symptoms. It's usually the same process.
Yes. So sometimes a person would immediately, like, kal piya aa jaya. So today I'm not going to see withdrawal symptoms immediately. He might develop it, say, today evening or tomorrow morning. So I need to anticipate that depending on the quantity he is taking, quantity of alcohol he is taking, and give him and treat him accordingly. And if a person is already in withdrawal and you're seeing him, then you need to start it immediately.
And what role does trauma play in alcohol addiction?
So yes, a person who is traumatized, basically, such person can resort to alcohol use just to get rid of the symptoms. For example, post traumatic stress disorder है, तो flashbacks आते हैं, बार बार वो thoughts आते रहते हैं. Just to feel relaxed, a person can resort to alcohol. So that way, trauma and alcohol is also very connected. Correct. And trauma in very young age group, in childhood or in adolescent age group, can also lead to impulse control problems, and again that can give rise to alcohol use disorder in future.
And your treatment, is it dependent on the reason why someone is getting into alcoholism?
So the detoxification part remains the same, but the therapy later, it usually varies from person to person depending on what is the reason, why is the person starting in first place. If he has certain stresses which he is unable to cope with, then we have to enhance his coping mechanisms, work on his coping skills, how to handle stress, how to manage relations. So these are the things we need to talk about in therapy. So therapy is definitely tailor made for every person. For each and every case it will be different.
Relapse, when relapse happens, so what are the major reasons for the relapse to happen? Because it's like, the treatment happened, the patient was okay, they were off alcohol for some time, but then they relapse. So why do the relapse happen, and what is your course of action when the relapse happens?
Yes. So there are numerous reasons for relapse. Okay. So the first reason is the locus of control. Correct. If the person when he was in treatment also, if the need to change was not coming from within, then it's very difficult to sustain that later. But if the person is very very convinced that for my health, for this for my well-being I need to change, then the chances of relapse go down significantly. That is the first reason. The second point is that, see, once for the detoxification process, the therapy later, many times these patients are in closed settings like rehabilitation centers or IPD settings, indoor patient settings. Once they go back in community, they are again in the same environment. They are interacting with the same people. So there would be colleagues, there would be peers who would say, "अरे कुछ नहीं होता है, एक पेग से क्या ही होता है." Correct. So once that happens, then they again go into, once drinking starts, उसका quantity, duration, frequency control करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है, because they have that addiction potential already. The third important reason sometimes is that once they start going to their jobs, offices, they cross the same road. There would be shops, there would be restaurants where they were regularly visiting before for alcohol. So that looking at that induces craving, and that leads to loss of impulse control. That can be an important reason for relapse. The fourth reason is again having stresses in life. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, पीने वाले को पीने का बहाना चाहिए, घर में कुछ झगड़ा हो गया, okay, we tell them about everything, coping, ये वो, but at that point of time for them it becomes difficult to manage stress. So they have that tendency of escape to alcohol once they are faced with stress. So all these are very important reasons why people relapse.
And usually what is your course of action when the relapse happens?
So when the relapse happens, again the most important thing is to find out what was the trigger. So once we know what was the trigger, from where is it coming? Is it because of friends that he is doing it? Is it because of another thing is whether he is drinking alone or is he drinking with people? That is also what we need to understand. Then or whether it was some situation, some life-changing event that happened that made him relapse again. So once we know the reason, then it becomes easier to direct all our efforts towards changing that behavior. So how can that stress be handled in a better way is what we try to teach such persons in therapy. Or if the reason is colleagues, for example, then what we say most of the times is that if there are people who are asking you to take alcohol, stay away from them. Such friends are of no use. Correct. There would be some people who don't resort to alcohol. Please hang out with those people.
Basically changing your environment in
Changing
a way.
your environment. So if there is a road which has alcohol shops, जहाँ पे आप regularly जाते थे, avoid going by those roads. Go by long cut. या दूसरे रास्ते से जाओ. So that वो craving. See, initially it's very difficult. The first week and after that the first month, the craving is going to be very high and becomes difficult for the person to manage himself. वो एक महीना निकलने के बाद it is relatively easier to stay abstinent. So any kind of breaking any kind of habit, addiction is habit ultimately, is very difficult. It's not that easy. It's easier said than done. So even if you discharge the patients after initial treatment, it's important to keep shorter follow-ups. Because lost to follow-up हो गया, अभी देखा पेशेंट को, एक महीने का follow-up दे दिया, उसमें वो पी लेगा. So shorter follow-ups, 1 week में आप बुलाओ. Also self-help groups also help a lot in this situation to prevent relapses. So self-help groups like Alcoholic Anonymous, they have a 12-step program.
Okay.
So this is a group of ex-addicts. They have quit alcohol and they try to encourage others to stay abstinent. So everybody shares their experiences. There are meetings once a month in all the locations all over India. So they encourage people to remain abstinent. They share their experiences, how alcohol affected their life, how their life improved after quitting alcohol. And with such encouragement and motivation, people also get motivated to stay away from alcohol. So alcoholics and such self-help groups also help a lot in maintaining abstinence.
What I understood from the conversation we had is like, the person should not believe too much on his willpower initially, that kuch nahi hota, I'll meet my friends, kuch nahi hoga, because at that time probably it is not really.
It's very vulnerable at that point of time.
So they need to be very much aware that they will be vulnerable, and best is that for some time you just avoid all these situations which might trigger.
Yes, one more important thing is that there is also a role of personality when it comes to relapses. So we manage the detoxification process, but if there's something in the personality part, so for example, if a person has borderline traits in personality, they are basically very impulsive. So that's why managing impulse control becomes important for such people then, and working on their personality part also becomes more important. So until and unless you work on these factors, they are not going to remain abstinent. So that's why I told you it's important to identify what is the problem which is causing a person to resort to alcohol in this person.
And a caregiver, how can they support in treatment of an alcoholic, and making sure that the conditions are such they do not resort back to alcoholism?
Yes. Unfortunately, what happens is the caregivers of alcohol use disorder patients, they suffer a lot of burnout. Because what happens is they have to be constantly on guard. Even if a person has come back from rehab or he's now not taking alcohol, they have to ensure, or they have to keep on checking, आज पी के आया है, आज नहीं पी के आया है, smell आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है. So they have to be constantly vigilant. And once they slip into alcohol use again, वो जो abuse और वो सब होता है, गाली गलौज होता है, घर का atmosphere, environment is changed totally. That all together is a different thing, correct? So they are constantly living under stress. So in spouses of alcohol use disorder patients, the rate of depression is quite high. So they develop major depressive disorders, sometimes anxiety disorders, and the burnout is very high. So they also have certain self-help groups where they can talk to each other, know how to manage such situations, correct? And what we tell them is that look at it as a mental illness. It is not something that you can manage on your own. It is a mental illness, just like any other mental illness, like anxiety, depression. So you will need help. Take help at appropriate time. So if you feel he is slipping into alcohol use again, the first time you identify it, take him to mental health professional immediately and work on that. So relapse happens when there are misses many times. So the first miss you see, आज पी के आया है, that is the time you have to take him back to the mental health professional. And try to maintain a cordial atmosphere at home. Without blaming, without stigmatizing a person. That is also necessary. And another thing is occupational rehabilitation. Many a times what happens is these people, they lose out on their jobs. They are unable to continue at a place, or people also hesitate to take them back many a times because they know that alcohol ले रहा है तो he might slip into alcohol use again. So occupational rehabilitation becomes very important. If they stay at home all the time without having a fixed routine, the chances of again relapsing into alcohol use are very high.
So routine
So if they
is
have a
very
fixed
important.
schedule wherein they have certain purpose in their life, they have certain meaning to life, then remaining abstinent becomes easier.
Interesting. And I mean, in terms of therapy and treatment, I mean, if someone cannot afford it, so what are the options available for people who cannot afford, the expensive therapy and treatment?
So there are government hospitals available where the therapy is free. For example, in Mumbai, there are BMC hospitals, correct? Where the therapy, once you get admitted, you can stay for as long as the doctor finds it important that the patient stays there, correct? And it's all free of cost, correct? So there are treatment options available. Even therapies are conducted in such hospitals. But the important thing I want everyone to understand is that the alcohol की वजह से जितना financial loss होता है, उससे therapy या इस पे आप अगर पैसे डालते हो, it is much more fruitful, isn't it? You can spend so much on alcohol, but when it comes to spending on therapy, you think about it. That is not the way it should be. Correct?
True. I think
Medicines are much less expensive as compared to the cost of alcohol use.
Exactly, and I think the repercussions of it as well.
Yes.
And if there's someone who just doesn't want to listen to you and go for therapy or treatment, what is the course of action?
For such people, it's very difficult. It's a huge burden on the caregiver, I would say, because there are people who do involuntary admissions also. But the problem is once they get out of, for how long will you keep them in rehab centers? You can try once or twice with them to enhance motivation, to kind of try to induce change in their behavior by different interventions. But all of them won't respond to it. So beyond the point, until and unless it's voluntary, I feel it's very, very difficult for a person, for a therapist to keep a person off alcohol. It all depends on motivation. So there's no way out.
And I mean, in terms of COVID-19, do you think it has led to an increase or decrease in
it has led to an overall mental health epidemic, I would say. So because people were staying all the time together, there's a lot of interpersonal complications also. There have been cases of extreme depression, anxiety, because there was so much of loneliness, nobody to talk to, correct? And spouses who were working all the time, suddenly they were together for 24 hours and it became they had to face such a difficulty staying together for 24 hours without conflicts. So similarly, alcohol use also has gone up during that time. So all kinds of mental health disorders, not just alcohol use, have significantly gone up during that time. But now it's time that it's been a quite long time since COVID.
And talking about misconceptions and stigma around alcoholism, so are there any misconceptions or stigma that we see around this topic?
Yes. So major misconception is कि हाँ इसको तो अल्कोहलिक को दारू छोड़ना ही नहीं है, ये जानबूझ के करता है. So there would be few people who would say नहीं मुझे पीना ही है, भले मैं जल्दी मर जाऊँ मुझे पीना है. But majority of the people who are alcohol use patients, they try to cut down, they try to reduce on their own, but it's not possible always because it is a mental health problem. It is a mental illness, it is a mental disorder, mental health disorder which requires medication, which requires interventions. That is what everybody needs to understand. जस्ट लाइक इफ अगर किसी को डिप्रेशन है, एंजाइटी है या फिर किसी को कोई फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम है, तो आप यू वोंट ब्लेम दैट पर्सन, राइट?
करेक्ट.
सो लुक एट दिस फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव.
Okay. And what role does our culture and society they play in terms of dealing with alcoholism?
So that's the whole problem. In our society, in certain strata of people, it is considered to be a social status symbol. That consumption of alcohol is considered cool, or jitna mehenga whiskey, jitna mehenga rum, utna social status is higher. But then what happens is with this kind of social status attached with alcohol, alcohol has kind of become it has become normalized in cultures. It's okay. अरे even when somebody is marrying, अरे क्या हुआ, एक बार कोई पी रहा है लड़का, कभी कभार पिया तो उसमें क्या हो गया? But how do you know that this person is not going to be alcohol addict at some point of time? How can you judge that right now? And alcohol is not something which is beneficial for your health anyways. So why to start it in first place? So we as mental health professionals, we always discourage people to have alcohol. Not even in social settings, I would say. There are healthier ways of enjoying yourself. Why do you want that dopamine kick with alcohol all the time? You can get dopamine kick by different ways. A nice meaningful conversation can also give you dopamine kick. So we need to find out healthier ways of enjoyment. The concept of enjoyment needs a change big time.
And you mentioned that enjoyment can be done without alcohol as well. So what might be top 4 or 5 ways of enjoyment you can think of?
So going out on trips, to some destinations, nice destinations, exploring the places actually, rather than just sitting and having alcohol. Going out, meeting different people. If you go to different countries, knowing their culture, knowing the food they eat, the different customs they have, that can be so enriching for oneself. Then going out on treks, having a nice time, some kind of physical activity, indulging in some kind of sport, that would do a lot of good to most of the people, because it helps in increasing the happy hormones, the endorphins in the body. So you as it is get a feeling of emotional well-being. And boredom is something that causes most of the people to resort to alcohol. But understanding one thing, that it is okay to get bored sometimes. You cannot always be getting that kick, dopamine kick. That is not at all required. It's okay to get bored sometimes. You can be with yourself, or if you get bored, you can do something that you feel very fulfilling, like somebody can indulge in painting, whatever, singing or dancing, whatever hobby one can pursue. Then having a nice meaningful conversation with your spouse or with your friends or with your parents, that can be very fulfilling. Going out for a movie, going out for a dinner date, without of course your mobiles and otherwise people keep looking at the mobiles. If not alcohol, it could be mobile. But stay away from all kinds of addictions and have real life situations, real life conversations. And that is the way to go ahead, I feel. Because we are, all of us are human beings, the interconnectedness is something we need to be aware of, identify and go ahead.
And is it like one alcohol is better than the other, like beer is better than whiskey and beer piyenge to kuch nahi hoga?
Nahi. See, the alcohol content will vary. Beer would have lesser alcohol content, say to the extent of 4 to 10%, 15% maximum. If you take hard drinks, harder drinks, I would say, like gin, rum, vodka, whiskey, then the alcohol content would go up to the level of 40-50%. And of course, then if you have one peg of beer and one peg of whiskey, it is not equal. Whiskey is of course going to be more harmful. But that does not mean beer is harmless or beer is good. it is less harmful, I would say. So, but then why to have alcohol in first place? That is again a very important question one needs to ask oneself. Why?
And in terms of, treatments and innovation that is happening in treatment of alcoholism, so do we see, any innovative treatments coming up, or AI being involved somewhere, because, we have AI everywhere. So do we see any kind of, better technologies coming up in this field?
Right now, not in India, but there are certain subcutaneous implants of disulfiram. That is that I mentioned about the aversive conditioning. So it induces intense side effects if a person takes alcohol on it. So that is something that has been started in other countries, but it's yet to reach India. That might be a game changer, because disulfiram tablets is something a person might not take on daily basis. वो बोलता है मैं लेता हूँ, but he might skip. आज मुझे पीना है, तो I won't take disulfiram for 4-5 days, and then I'll drink. But with the implant in your body, it becomes difficult to maneuver. So that is one innovation that we are looking forward to.
Interesting. And the conversation was really enriching and helpful for me. I actually learned a lot, because seriously, alcohol has become normal in our society. It has become something which is used for socializing, but there are perspectives that are not discussed, and they're quite eye-opener. So thank you so much for discussing this topic in depth with us, and it was useful for me. I hope it was the same for our viewers. If you liked the content, please like, share and comment, and look forward to getting you engaged in the content. If you want certain kind of topics that we want to discuss, do write us at happierhour.sg@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.